our class and solve so many questions on them as well. Okay, by the way, profit percent is equal to how much? I have left this one blank. Ahmed, do tell me what is the formula to find profit percent?
Profit percent, sir,
Mm-hmm.
is it
Profit percent. While you're
cost price
recalling
minus
it,
price?
no, that is another thing.
So can I?
Yes, Arhan.
The 100 plus gain percent divided by 100 multiplied by the selling price.
That is another thing, Arhan, that you are quoting from here. That you are quoting from here. Okay, that is another thing. Look, profit percent is simply profit upon cost price multiplied 100. That is the formula here. Loss percent is loss upon cost price multiplied 100. Okay, that is the thing here. That is simple formula, no? Like cost
Yes,
price
sir.
is simply selling price minus profit. Okay, so I'm selling an article for 15 rupees and the profit on it is 5 rupees. So the initially the cost price was 10 rupees now. This is the cost price of the article. A cost price equals to selling price plus loss. Okay. Now let's say if I have an article whose price is 12 rupees. Okay. Now I am selling it at a loss of 2 rupees. So in order to find the cost price, what do I need to do? Simply subtract 2 from it. That gives me 10 rupees now. Selling price plus loss. Okay. Plus loss now. So selling price is 12 rupees and there is a loss of 2 rupees on it. Okay. So meaning the cost price initially was 14 rupees. Okay. And I'm selling it at a loss of 2 rupees here. So that's how you calculate cost price now. Getting it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in the same manner, you can calculate selling price in terms of loss and gain as well. Loss and profit. Okay. So do one thing, take the screenshot of this one. Before that one, there's one more blank
Sir, I
here.
have already taken it.
Good. How do you find the discount percent? And also do tell me, guys, on which value we calculate discount? Is it on mark price or on selling price?
Mark price, sir.
Mark price. Very good. It is calculated on mark price. And what is the formula? It is same as profit percent. Simply it is in place of profit, you can write discount.
Sir, discount by MP multiplied by 100.
Exactly. Okay. So I was guessing that you guys have remembered all the formulas so far. Ahmed, also you also take the take the screenshot.
I have taken it, sir.
Okay, now let's move on. And then we also had we also look at these formulas as well. Okay, like to find selling price and cost price when gain percent loss percent are given, we were using these formulas. Take a screenshot of these ones as well.
Sir, done.
Okay, done, Ahmed. Okay,
Yes, sir.
now let's move ahead. Now we were talking about compound interest. Okay, apart from compound interest, you guys are aware of simple interest also. To find simple interest, the basic formula was principal multiplied rate multiplied with time upon 100. That was the formula required to calculate simple interest. Okay, but in compound interest, basically the interest gets compounded. Okay, and in that case, compound interest is how can be calculated via which formula? Via amount minus principal. Okay, now I know you guys are not aware of this formula because you guys are aware of this formula. Amount equals to P plus SI, right? Amount equals to principal plus simple interest, right?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so using the same formula, we can calculate the simple interest or compound interest also. Simple interest slash compound interest. Simple interest slash compound interest. Okay, also write it as simple interest slash compound interest. Okay, so how do you find the amount? The formula required to find the amount was this. A equals to principal multiplied 1 plus rate upon 100 to the power n. And here is basically time, R was the rate, okay guys, and P was the principal, and A was the amount after interest was applied on the principal for the given time period. Okay, and compound interest can be simply E minus principal. Using this formula, you can calculate compound interest. So once we have got the amount, and the principal will be already given to you, then you can easily calculate the compound interest, right?
Yes.
Okay. So earlier we had one example, no? Like let's say no, let's say there's a farmer, there's a farmer who has borrowed 2000 rupees, okay, from a bank at a rate of 5%, okay, for 2 years. All right, guys. So we need to find the compound interest. So we know the formula is amount minus principal now. Yes, Ahmed and Arhan.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So first we will find the amount here. So to find out amount, we need principal. Principal is already given here, right? Rate is also given 5% here. Okay, guys. And time is also given, that is for 2 years. So we can find out the amount. So that is going to be how much? 2000 multiplied 1 plus 5 upon 100 raised to the power 2. So that will give you amount. So whatever amount you will be getting over here, so from that amount you will simply subtract the principal, right guys? And that will give me compound interest here. Getting it? Basically we have
Yes, sir.
in fact we have solved some questions on this as well. Okay, basically I was trying to recall, make you guys recall the concepts. Ahmed and Arhan, are you guys finding compound interest difficult or easy?
Sir, it's easy.
It's easy. Ahmed,
Yes, sir. It's not hard, but it's confusing, sir.
look, as you will solve more questions, then it will become easy. Okay. As I always say, on a daily basis, you guys need to solve at least 25 to 30 questions from mathematics. Okay. So if you guys would like, I can provide you with extra questions. If the questions given in the assignments are not sufficient, if you guys see, I will add some more questions. So you get to practice the questions. Okay. All right. Now, we also talked about the bill amount, how it is calculated. Okay, so whatever the cost of the commodity here basically means articles or goods. So whatever the cost of commodity is and the sales tax is included in it, that when sales tax is added to the cost of commodity, that is equal to the total bill amount, right guys? And we earlier talked about sales tax, right? That is basically paid to the government now. Okay, and how do you calculate the sales tax? It is simply the tax percentage of bill amount. So for different articles, tax percentage is different, right guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Also, I found the amount from the previous question.
You found it out. Very good. What was the amount, by the way?
Sir, it is 2,205.
2205.
Five.
Very good. So here compound interest is 205 rupees, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay. Now, in today's class, now we will be talking about how do we found a rate of interest when interest is compounded half yearly or quarterly. Okay. Before even we talk about that, there was one more thing I needed to discuss. Okay. So let me discuss that one first, and then we will move ahead. Okay, guys. Okay, just let me add one more page here because the page isn't sufficient here. All right. Okay, now so far now we were talking about the amount when rate of interest was same for the years. Okay, for example, Here, the time period was 2 years, and for both the years, for first year and second year, the interest was 5%. It was not changing. Okay, Ahmed and Arhan. But what if I say
Yes,
that
sir.
for first year, let's say the rate is 5%, and for second year, the rate has been changed to 8%. In that case, how do we calculate the amount? Okay, so let's discuss that one. Okay, guys. So the topic is amount when rates of interest are different for different years. And also one more thing, guys, I need both of you to prepare a chart paper in which you guys are required to list down all the formulas of this chapter. I will be asking for that in the next class. Okay, so in the next class or before the next class, you guys are required to send that. So the
Okay, sir.
screenshots which you guys have taken here, simply list down all the formulas from there in the chart paper. All right.
Yes, sir. The chart
Okay.
paper on our page.
Simply on a page. Okay, on a big
Okay,
page,
sir.
so that all the formulas comes in a page. Okay. So if rates of interest is different for different years, then following formula is used. Following formula is used. Okay, so in that case, the amount will be calculated like this. Amount equals to P into 1 plus R1 upon 100. Okay, and let's say it's for 2 years or 3 years, or let's say we don't know the number of years for which we are required to calculate the amount. So for the next year, it will be 1 plus R2 now. Next, since the rates are different, so we are calling it as R1, R1, R2, R3, and so on up to Rn. Okay, Ahmed and Arhan. So
Yes,
1
sir.
plus R3 upon 100, then 1 plus R4 upon 100, up to 1 plus Rn upon 100. Okay, so that is one thing here, right? Okay, so take the screenshot of this formula. Using this formula, we can calculate the amount for different rates for different years. All right, guys. Okay, so we will be solving some questions on this,
Sir,
and then we
isn't
will
it
move
a
ahead.
bit lengthy?
No, it's not lengthy. Look, you will be basically required to find the amount for 2, 3, or 4 or 5 years like this. It will be not up to Rn here. For example, let's say there's a question which says the a person borrowed rupees 10,000 from a bank. Okay, rate of interest for first year is 5%, and for next year is 8%. Calculate the amount. Getting it? Calculate the amount. So simply we can solve it like this. See over here. The solution is going to be like this. Amount equals to, how many years are here, Ahmed? Ahmed, how many years are given in the question? For how many years the rates are given? Yes, Ahmed is here or not?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In the question, there are two rates given. One is
Sir,
5%.
yes, I
Okay, no issue. Then another
minute.
one is 8%. Okay. So the rates are given for two different years and the rates are different. So we will basically take this, you will be basically solving the question in this method. So since it's given for 2 years, two rates are only given. So we will take this formula only. Okay, 1 plus R1 upon 100 and then 1 plus R2 upon 100. No need to continue further. No need to take 1 plus R3 upon 100. Why? Because only two rates are given in the question, right, guys? Okay. So what is the question? What is the principle given in the question, Ahmed? Ahmed, Arhan, what is the principle given in the question?
10,000.
Sir, 10,000.
10,000. Okay.
Sir,
And
by
rate
the
one,
way, how many years do we have to put?
it's given here for the first year, it's 5%, and for next year, it's 8%. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Look, earlier we had this formula, no? Look, where we were calculating the rate, where we will calculating the same rate of interest. Okay. For 2 or 3 or 4 of for more years. But here the rate of interest is different. Okay. For different years. And there's no need to take the time period in consideration here. All right. So it will be 10,000 multiplied 1 plus 5 upon 100 multiplied 1 plus 8 upon 100, guys. Okay. So whatever answer you will be getting, that will be your amount after 2 years. Got this, Ahmed and Arhan?
Sir, another left.
I think Ahmed is facing some network issues because his voice was not coming properly. Okay. Meanwhile, Arhan, solve this question.
Okay, sir. Sir, I found it.
Okay. That is how much?
Sir, 11,340.
7,340. Okay, good. So 105 multiplied 108, that is 11,340. Right? That's what you did. Okay. Has Ahmed joined or not? Not yet.
No, sir, yeah.
He has joined?
No, sir.
Not yet. Okay, okay. Okay, so anyways, take the screenshot of this one. We will wait for a minute for Ahmed to join. Okay. So next thing is now we will be talking about, look here, Arhan. Here we were calculating the interest for full year now. The question says that we are calculating the interest for first year and then for next year. What if the question is that calculate the interest for half year or for quarter of the year, for 6 months or for 3 months? So in that case, what will be the formula required? Yeah. So the method is going to change in that case. Okay, Arhan. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do remind me when Ahmed is back. Okay. Because I don't want him to miss this concept. Okay. So meanwhile, if you like, you can solve some more questions. Right. Okay. And by the way, what are the applications of the compound interest in daily life? Can you quote some examples of the applications of compound interest? Where do we use it?
Sir, GST and VAT.
Okay, that is a particular option, particular area where it is used. But in general, we can say that compound interest are used in situations such as increase or decrease in population. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Utility of daily application, let's say, yeah, daily applications. So one is in the increase or decrease of population now. Okay. Or wherever the change is in compounded form, wherever the change is in compounded form, right? So there you will be using this compound interest. For example, growth of bacteria, right?
Yes, sir.
Growth of bacteria to study that also, we will be using compound interest. Okay. Or appreciation and depreciation in the value of an article. Basically, increase or decrease in the value of an article. That is also studied using compound interest. Right. Okay. Remember, in our previous class, we had an example of the population of a village where the population was 25,000. Okay. And it was increasing at a
Yes,
rate of
sir.
2% per year. And
Yes,
we were
sir.
required to basically find the population at the end of 2 years, right? So that also had as its utility here. Okay, Ahmed is not here now. Okay, do one thing, take the screenshot. Have you taken the screenshot or not?
Sir, of this one?
Yeah, of this one.
Yes, sir. I have.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, now one important thing we have discussed, that was amount when rates of interest are different for different years. Now let's talk about what if the rates are compounded annually or half yearly or quarterly also, right? So in that case, how do you calculate the rate of interest? Okay, Arhan. Okay. So look,
Yes,
whenever interest is compounded half yearly, so half yearly means what? There will be two conversion periods now in a year. Basically, it will be in the form of 6 months, right? So in this case, what will be the rate of interest? The rate of interest will be half of rate of interest per annum. Okay. So if the rate of interest here, if the rate of interest is half yearly, we know that there are going to be two conversions of periods in year. Half yearly basically means 6 months now. So there are two conversion periods in a year, 6 months and 6 months. So in this case, remember, whenever it is being compounded or calculated half yearly, then the rate of interest is half of rate of interest per annum. Half of rate of interest per annum. Okay. Okay, now let's take an example, then it will become more clear. Okay, or let me just give give a representation here. So note one thing here, that when the rate of interest is given R%, let's say R% per annum. So for per annum, the rate of interest was R annum, Arhan. Okay, all right. Now, if we were to compound it half yearly, let's say for n years, we don't know how for how many years it is going to be compounded. Okay, so on a half yearly basis, for n years, if it is be compounded, then the rate of interest will become what? The rate of interest will be R% upon 2 now for each period.
yes, sir.
For each period, as I said earlier, see over this here, for 6 months, that is for two periods. Now there are two periods, the year is getting divided into two periods, so it will be equal to half of rate of interest per annum. Okay, and what did I wrote here? That when the rate of interest is given R% for per annum for full year, for one full year. Now if it is compounded half yearly, that is for 6 months, for two periods, or for 9 years. So I am compounding the rate, compounding the interest rate on a basis of 6 months. Okay, let's say for I am continuing this for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, or for up to n years. Getting it? That is
So what
basically the
is the value odd? Um, like 5 months. How can we
like for
divide it into periods?
we can in fact divide that one. That will be simply 5 out of 12. Getting it?
Oh, okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. So usually it is calculated either half yearly or quarterly, or in fact if you have 2 months, 5 months, For that case also we can calculate it very easily. Okay. So, and what about the time period in this one when we are compounding half yearly? For each period, and time will be how much?
The the two.
Time will be 2 into and half years.
Yes, sir.
2 into and half years. Okay, now when we will be solving questions, then it will become more clear. Okay. So as of now, we are only talking about when it is being compounded half yearly. All right. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
what if the rate of interest is compounded on a quarterly basis? Then what will happen? Okay, forget about the question. Let's discuss the concept first. Okay, don't pay attention to the question here. We will come to this. Already. Now, for quarterly, Arhan, what will happen? The rate of interest will be R upon 4%, right? The year has been divided into 4 parts of 3 months each, right? 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, and 3 months, right? So here we are calculating the rate of interest, let's say for 3 months. So 3 months is the 1/4 of the full year, right? So in that case, it will be R upon 4%. All right. And time period will be how much, Arhan? It will be
The
4 into
the
4
four
into
into.
and quarter. Okay. So here it
Yes,
was
sir.
2 into half year, no? Okay. And here
Yes,
it will
sir.
be 4 into and quarter, right? So let me write it in a statement form so that it becomes more clear. Okay. So note this thing, we are talking about quarterly rate of interest. Okay. So when the rate of interest is given R% per annum. Okay, so for 1 year, if the rate is given R% per annum, then if compounded quarterly, okay, for how many years? For let's say for n years. We don't know for how many years we are calculating the rate of interest. Okay, so let's say to be n years. Okay, Arhan. Okay, then
Okay.
rate will be R upon 4%, right? For each period. So what does this period means here? So 12 months, basically 1 year, we have divided here into 4 periods. Now 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 3 months each, right? So rate will be R upon 4% for each period, right? So for 3 months, the rate will be R upon 4%, right? And R here was basically the rate of interest for the full month, for the full year. But now since we are calculating it for 3 months, and 3 months basically means 1/4 of a year, so the rate of interest calculated for 3 months will be R upon 4%, Arhan. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
very good. And time will be how much?
The end
Time will
quarter.
be, yeah, time will be 4 into n
End
quarters.
quarter. Yes, sir.
Yeah, getting it. Okay, now I think we are good to continue with some questions. Okay, now let's take a question over here. Okay, we will come to the examples later. Let's take some questions. Okay, now let's say that if the rate of interest for 1 year is 8%, Arhan. Okay, per annum. This is on a basis of per annum. Okay, annum means 1 year, right? Then for interest that is compounded quarterly, what about that one? For interest compounded quarterly, rate is what? Simply find me the rate in this one.
The 8%.
8%. Read the question, please read the question once more. The question in the later part says that then for interest compounded quarterly rate will be how much? Rate equals to what? Look, for
The R.
full year, is it's 8% now. Now
Yes,
for
sir.
quarterly, it will be what? 1/4 of the rate now. One
Yes,
fourth,
sir.
1/4 of rate. Remember we calculated it. It was r upon 4% now. R upon 4% here.
Yes, sir.
So it will be 8% upon 4. That is 2%. Okay. That is what the
Yes, sir.
rate is going to be per quarter. Okay. And how many conversion periods are there? There are 4 quarter years in this one. If you were to ask the time period for which this in which the rate has been divided, it has been divided into 4 quarter years now. Quarter years means what? Quarter year means 3 months now.
Yes, sir.
Quarter year means 3 months. So how many quarter months are there in a year? There are 4. 1 into 4, right? That is there are
Yes, sir.
4 quarter years. Got this, Arhan? I hope it's clear now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, good. Okay. So note, remember the two concepts very carefully here. So whenever it's given for half yearly, you will simply half the rate percent. Okay. And then calculate it. And in that case, there will be the period will be, there will be 2 conversion periods of 6 months each, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is Ahmed here?
No, sir. He isn't.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me, uh, yes, Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. You're back. Yes. Ahmed, is your network connection stable now? Arhan, please mute yourself. There's some background noise.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Ahmed, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look, meanwhile, you were not in the class. We were talking about the compound interest, which is calculated on a half yearly basis and on a quarterly basis. Before that, we were discussing this question. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that thing we have discussed, that basically we were calculating amount when rates of interest are different for different years. So let's say the bank charges you 5% for the first year and then 8% for the next year. Then in that case, what was the amount being calculated? So for this question, this was the answer which we got. Okay, just have a quick look at it, see if there's any confusion, and take the screenshot also. Okay, now we also talked about the rate of interest which is compounded half yearly or quarterly. Look, in a year, there are total 2 months, total 12 months. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you were to make two conversion periods, that will be 6 months. 6 months plus 6 months, right? So if the bank charges you interest for 6 months, that is for half yearly. So let's say for one full year, the rate of interest bank was charging you 8%. So for 6 months, what would be the rate of interest? It will be 4%. Okay. So if it 8% was R percent, for half yearly, it became R upon 2%. That is basically about how do you calculate rate of interest for half yearly. Got this, Ahmed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in how many periods the year has been divided? Into 2 periods of 6 months each. Okay.
Yes.
Now moving on, we also talked about quarterly rate of interest. So in quarterly, basically year has been divided into 4 parts now of 3 months each. Okay. So there are 4 conversions of month, 4 divisions of the year basically, right? So let's say if the bank was charging you, let's say 12% for 1 year. So what would be the rate of interest charged to you for quarterly basis? So it will be simply 12 upon 4% now. Getting it? That is 3%. So if this was R%, so that means so quarterly rate of interest would be R% upon 4. Got this or not?
Can you repeat?
Uh, okay, I will repeat here. Look, when the rate of interest is given R%, right? For a year, the rate of interest is R%. बैंक आपको पूरे साल के लिए R% interest charge करती है. Then if compounded quarterly, now if you are trying to find the compound interest for quarterly for 3 months, then the rate will be R upon 4. Basically 1/4 हो जाता है. Okay. And basically how many quarters are there? You know, quarterly year means what? Quarterly year means 3 months. Okay, guys. So in a year, how many quarterly years are there? There are 4, right?
Yes, sir.
So there will be 4 conversion periods in case of calculation of quarterly rate of interest. Okay, so quickly take the screenshots. We will move ahead then.
Okay. Done, sir.
Yeah.
Done.
Done.
Yes.
Okay, now let's take the screenshot of this one as well. Okay, that was a question. You can look at it. Basically, the rate of interest for 1 year was given. We are required to calculate it for quarter year. Okay, so
sir.
we simply divided it by 4 and got it 2%. For full year, it was 8%. For 3 months, it was 2%. Now, let's take a different question here. Okay, so, all the while we have been talking about quarterly and half yearly rates of interest calculation. Now, let's calculate the
Sir,
amount.
in
Yes,
half
Arhan?
yearly, it will be R% by 2, right?
R% by 2, exactly.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so calculate the amount and compound interest on rupees 1600. Okay, for 2 years and 3 months. Here's the twist. We have taken 3 months also here at 10% per annum, guys. Okay, at 10% per annum compounded annually. All right. Now let's see how we are required to solve such questions. So do tell me what are the things given in the question so that we will write them first here. What is the principal amount, guys?
So 1600.
It's 1600. Okay. What is the rate percent compounded annually?
10.
10% per annum, right? Okay. And time period is given here is
2 years and 3 months.
Yes, sir.
yeah, 2 years and 3 months. Okay. Now we need to make some adjustments for this time period. Okay. So for 2 years and 3 months, look, 2 years we will write it as it is. Okay, now we will convert this 3 month into year. But how do we do that? Simply divide it with 12, right? Okay, and add them. Can we not write it like this?
Yes, sir, we can.
We can, Ahmed, we can write it. So that will be 2 and 2 into 1 upon 4 years now. So here we see basically we are having 2 years and a quarterly year here, right? So in this case, guys,
Yes, sir.
we will first find the amount for 2 years. First, find the amount for 2 years, and then later on we will find the amount for quarterly. So finding the amount for 2 years is very simple, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, so find the amount for first 2 years, both of you, quickly, and then we will find the amount for quarterly years. You guys know the formula to find amount, right?
Yes, sir. P
Yes,
Mhm.
sir.
P1 plus R upon 100 upon N.
Upon
P
n, very
is
good.
to
Okay, raised to the power n. Okay, so first find the amount for 2 years. Okay, amount for 2 years, and then we will find the amount for 3 months, basically 1 upon 4 year, right? 1 upon 4 year. That can be also done very easily. It is simply going to be p into 1 plus r upon 4 for quarterly. The rate basically was divided by 4 now, upon 100, and then yes, Arhan, for quarterly basis the rate was basically divided by 4.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, so calculate this one. And one more thing, I'm seeing that the PDFs which I am getting for your maths textbook, I am having limited questions there. Basically, I took the PDF, took the screenshot of the questions, and I was about to add it inside. But I compared that PDF to another PDF given on Google, and both of them had different questions. So after we solve this question, you guys please tell me the first question of exercise 8.3, so that I will be able to make sure that I'm having the right PDF. Okay, because recently NCERT has updated the questions.
Sir, I found the answer.
Okay, so what is the amount for first 2 years?
Sir, the amount for first 2 years is sir 1,936.
1936. Very good. Emma, did you got the same answer?
yes, sir.
Okay. What about the amount for quarterly year?
Sir, I'm finding it.
Okay.
The quarterly year will be simply 1 by 4 or 2 by 1 by 4.
Please repeat what did you say?
The quarterly year will be only 1 by 4, right?
Exactly, 1 by 4. Just
Okay,
simply
sir.
divide the rate by 4 and then you will get the amount.
Sir, the amount which I'm getting is 484 for
400
one
and
and a half. 84.
484.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See if it's correct. I don't think it's correct, Arhan. Okay, I think you have made some slight mistakes.
Sir, I've divided 1 by 4 by the amount of 2 years.
No, that's not the thing which we are going to do here. Look, this is 2 years. So in 2 years, there are going to be total 8 quarterly years. Getting it? There are
Okay,
8
sir. So
quarterly
I'm
years now.
resolving it.
Yeah. So if you
I'm
were to solve
resolving it.
like that, then you will have to divide it with 8. But still, that won't be the correct method. Okay, Ahmed got the answer. Okay, solve it.
Let to
Sir, is it in decimal?
Okay, what is the answer, by the way?
So 1638.
No, that is not correct. Look, guys, here. Using this method, we won't be able to get our answer here. Okay. You know why? Because after 2 years, listen carefully here. After 2 years, the amount is this much, 1936. Okay. And we know that we are calculating the rate of interest for quarter of the year on a quarterly basis now. Okay, so for that purpose, what will happen, this 1936 will become the principal amount, it will become the new principal amount. For what? For calculation of tax for 3 months. क्या समझ पा रहे हो आप बात को? Are you guys getting it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ahmed. Look, for 2 straight years, the amount calculated, we got it to be 1936. Okay, so that was pretty simple. No issue in that one. But as per the definition, if you guys see the definition over here, read here. When the rate of interest is given R% per annum, then it if compounded quarterly for an years, then rate will be R upon 4% for each period and time will be 4 into n quarters here. Okay. So the rate of interest is given R% per annum here. All right. So since the rate of interest is taken into consideration as R% for per annum and then compounded for quarterly, then it becomes R upon 4%. See one more thing over here. One more thing over here. Now we are going to calculate the interest at a annual basis here. Okay. So that you guys can simply calculate the later interest using the simple interest formula as well. So using that one, you guys can also solve. So simple interest, it is simply P into R into T upon 100 into upon 100. So that is the principal is 1936, rate is 10%. Okay, but we know that it is going to be R upon 4, R% divided by 4. So 10 upon 4, getting it? 10 upon 4. All right, and then multiply with the time. So the time period is how much? Yeah, time period we have already taken here, 1 upon 4. Okay, then divided by 100. So that gives me how much? That will be close to 48.4. See if it's 48.4, guys. That becomes 2.5. Okay, so 1936 multiplied 25 upon 1000. See how much it gives you.
Okay, sir.
So 1936 multiplied 25, it's going to be 48,400 and then divide by 1000. So that gives me how much? 48.4. Getting it, guys?
Sir, I got 9.68.
No, it's going to be 48.4, Arhan. Okay. So we have now got the amount after 2 years and we have also got the simple interest after 2 years. So amount after 2 and 1 upon 4 years, it is going to be how much? Amount after 2 into 1 upon 4 years, that is simply going to be 1936 plus this amount of interest plus this rate of interest, that is 48.4. So that gives you your answer here. Getting it, guys?
Yes, sir.
So that gives you the amount. So it's going to be 1984.4. Okay. Now the question is that what about the compound interest? This is the amount now. We haven't got the compound interest yet. Read the question. It is also asking to find the compound interest as well. Okay. So we know the formula to find compound interest. What is it?
The amount minus principal.
Amount minus principal. So now 1984.4 minus the principal. So principal was how much?
So
1600, isn't it?
1600.
1600. So that gives me 384.4. So that is the compound interest, guys. Okay. Hope that is clear. Let me
Yes,
quickly
sir.
summarize it. Let me quickly summarize it because the time is running. Look, in this case now, we were required to first find the amount for 2 years. Okay. First, we calculated the amount for the first 2 years. Okay, that we calculated it to be 1936. Then using this amount, then we use this amount as principal to get simple interest for quarterly year more. Getting it? We use this amount as principal. We use this amount as principal to find out simple interest for 1 upon 4 years. And simple interest we calculated it to be how much? 48.4. So now then we got the simple interest and we had this principal. Okay. So amount is equal to principal plus simple interest. So principal we had 1936, guys, and simple interest we calculated as 48.4. So we basically got this here. Okay. So that's how you guys are required to find the amount in this case. Okay. So anyways, in the next class, few concepts are also left in the class in this chapter. We will cover that and we will be starting algebraic expression in the next maths class. Okay.